just catch everybody up.
Okay, so we're not in the apartment anymore.
We're at home.
So we finished up with chemo and radiation. The first little 6 weeks chunk of it.
We left MD Anderson June 6th to come back home for a 3-week break. When we went back after the break.
Yeah, we had to stay at MD Anderson a day extra.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to change our flight, which Delta let us do. Thank you, Delta. I know you guys watch these videos, so I appreciate that. We took a little family vacation.
We did. And during that trip, we received the confirmation that it was indeed progression. They did a specialized MRI just to verify that it wasn't something, it wasn't swelling. It was shorter on one side and longer on the other side. So I think that something worked, but it was probably the radiation, which you can't just keep radiating someone's brain. So
I think it was the naps.
you think it was the naps?
Yes.
All right, the
I'm
naps.
going to take extra naps now.
Well,
At least 2 a day to make up.
I think you're well on your way there. So something caused it to shrink, but it wasn't anything permanent because overall it was larger.
We stopped the chemo early rather than doing a full year of that. Because it grew, that meant that the clinical trial that April fought tooth and nail for, unfortunately didn't work either. But I'm glad that we tried it because...
If we hadn't, we would wonder
Right.
now would it have worked?
Exactly.
And then they gave us options.
Oh, yeah.
So four options: surgery. The next option was a clinical trial. We could also start a different type of chemo, and Avastin. We're faced with this huge decision about a second brain surgery. So the decision was up to Nick. I think I was just paralyzed by the option of him having another surgery because it was a huge risk.
They know what they're looking at. They know they're doing a little bit better. The doctor's going to be more confident than my doctor was here in Augusta. He told us they'd be more aggressive. And, with that in mind, we had a lot more reservations about the second surgery than we did the first. Maybe because it happened a lot slower. I don't know. We had time to think.
That was definitely a big part of it. I mean, the first surgery happened in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
This was like weeks of time that we had to think through the options and process what the possible results could be. He actually didn't even get to meet with the surgeon until the morning of the surgery. We met with her, at the beginning of this process, so we trusted her. We talked to her by phone a lot. We were very confident in her knowledge and trusting her that she would take good care of you and that she was going to do everything she could to preserve your quality of life. It was much scarier than the first surgery. She was going to go as deep as she could without hurting you. You went back at 7 in the morning and I got to see you again after 5 p.m. So it was very long, which is good because she was taking her time.
It didn't feel that long.
So everybody was there who could be there. So I had a lot of support and that was wonderful. So he did the surgery and he's fine. He is able to move both hands and he can walk still and his personality is intact. And
Is that called jazz fingers?
Yep, jazz fingers. When he came out of surgery, he doesn't remember this, but when I walked in, the first thing he did was hold his hand up to me and show me that he could touch each finger with his thumb. And then he wiggled his foot for me, and then he asked me for a pen. he just kind of went through this checklist. I'm all right. I can still do these things. I'm still able to think and process my thoughts. And that was pretty incredible. Everyone was relieved.
Which is really surprising because I was out of my mind on whatever medicine they gave me.
Then after the surgery was a bit of a struggle, pain-wise.
Nothing they gave me really worked the way that it should have. Some of it did dull the pain. Eventually, they gave me a little pain pump.
A pain pump.
The button that you can just push, and it worked. I was finally able to sleep.
We drove home after the surgery because he couldn't fly for 7 days, and we were ready to go home.
I slept pretty much every second we were in the car.
Anthony and I drove, and Anthony's his brother-in-law.
Thanks,
His sister Kristen also rode back with us, and so we got him home. And then he went back a week later and got his stitches taken out. I did not go back with him. That was the first time that he went to Houston that I didn't go, and that was because it was also the first week of school for the kids. And we decided I needed to be here, so Anthony actually went back to Houston with him.
Thanks, Anthony.
Anthony's getting a lot of credit right now.
I know. Anyway, hand signals.
That was week of the 8th. He went home on Dilaudid and Oxy. Now, sometimes he can actually go without narcotics, which there were 2 reasons for the surgery. One, of course, was to diminish the amount of cancer, but the other reason was because his headaches had gotten so bad that he was continuously on narcotic pain medication, and it was still bad. The theory was if we take this out, there'll be less of a mass in your brain, and it frees up the space. If your tumor or whatever medication you're on causes your brain to swell, it has free space where the swelling can kind of go. It's helped. It's taken some time. And so now that he's had the surgery, our choices were the clinical trial, Avastin, or the chemo.
We decided chemo. And a wild card over here from April, Optune. We wanted to explore.
Okay, but Optune is everywhere. It was something we talked about at MD Anderson with everyone on your medical team. It's something that a lot of people in the GBM groups I'm in are on. It is an FDA-approved treatment for glioblastoma, so it's not like...
Yeah, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence.
We're not doing Optune though, and I'll go into that in another video. So we're doing chemo.
CCNU.
He took that 2.5 weeks ago, and he's doing fairly well on it. It is a more aggressive chemo than the temozolomide, which is the standard of care chemo. It's decreased his appetite, but he's not, vomiting. He's not just laying in a bed unable to do anything. So that's positive. Now, he chooses to lay in a bed and not do anything a lot of times, so his wife has to prompt him to get out of bed and do things, but he's not physically so ill that he cannot.
Correct. It's 1 pill every 6 weeks.
Which is strange. Literally 1 pill.
I thought it was strange,
2.
but I don't mind it.
We also have absolutely no idea if it's working. So,
and we won't for 2 cycles.
His team at MD Anderson is working with the general oncologist here now in our hometown, so we don't have to go back and forth as much, which is huge. We did find out the day after he took the chemo, as we were exploring the clinical trial options, that now he cannot go on the clinical trial that was suggested. We did not know that. He says he still would have chosen the same option, chemo, because this chemo is FDA approved versus something that is still in trial. If I had had all the information, I probably would have strongly urged him to try the trial first and then do the chemo, because at least it gives us another option. But it is what it is now, and there's nothing we can do. We can't go back. I'm exploring the ability to gain access to the clinical trial drug in a way that's called expanded access. He's on the chemo, and we are living life. The kids are in school now, and we're trying to gain some sense of normalcy. We are about to list our house for sale. It is something we need to do. It is not something we're excited about, but we have a plan, and we'll tell you more about that. We also have a new vehicle. I've never had a new car in my life. It was at the prompting of the mechanic who was looking at our van with 80,000 miles on it. And I just asked for a straightforward answer on if this van was going to give me another 3 or 4 years. And it was highly suggested that I go buy either a Honda or a Toyota. It's a strange experience because normally when people buy a car, it's a happy thing. But for me, it wasn't, because I knew I was buying a car because I needed a car that would last me 10 to 15 years because my husband has glioblastoma. Like, people at the car dealership are like, congratulations on your new car. And I'm just like, you have no idea. And just, you just say thank you and keep going, because it's like somebody saying, how are you at the grocery store? You're not really going to tell them how you are, because if you unloaded that mess onto them, they'd never ask another person how they're doing.
Can you be there for a while?
And I'd be there for a while. We are leaving for Japan in how many days? 10 days? Holy smokes.
10.
We're leaving for Japan in 10 days. So that's a big thing. We've got a lot of travel coming up. We'll be doing vlogs just for us so that we have the memories, and, so that people who are following along don't just get the ugly side of this, but hopefully can get some of the beautiful side of this, which is that we have the ability to live in a way that we weren't living before. And that's fully, when you're going to work every day and you don't think about when the last day is going to be, you don't live the same way. So we're going to Japan, and we're going to land on our 8th wedding anniversary at 2:30 in the afternoon. So that's pretty incredible. We were gifted tickets. Thank you so much to our amazing neighbors and friends. The fact that somebody took that financial burden and made it non-existent, and now we can just go, and gosh, it's gonna be amazing. We are very unprepared. Have you booked our hotel for the rest of the trip?
I was just looking for 1 or 2 nights. I didn't know the rest of the trip.
We got to have somewhere to sleep. Oh, my shirt. We also
The answer to that is no.
We went and saw this guy.
We did.
With Kristen and...
Thank you, Anthony.
Who says we can't get stoned? Caught up a gun that I used to know. Fake love from an hour soul. Who says I can't? Wanna tell you why? 'Cause I've got a dream.
I bought the tickets on the day of the concert, and we just went. So we have permission to be spontaneous.
I think that's a full update.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're leaving out a ton of stuff, but...
We are purposefully.
So that it's not the longest video
this
ever.
Is manageable, yes.
He will have another scan when we get back from Japan. So the week of October 3rd. And that scan will be sent to MD Anderson in 9 more weeks. We got tattoos. We did do that.
Is your first tattoo?
It is.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of it, like I said, especially if it's your first one, it's going to be this kind of anxiety a little bit. I don't know what to expect. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, really? That was it? All right, you ready? How's that? Not too bad?
Not too bad. It doesn't hurt, but it's weird that you like that feeling.
And our kids are not here, so there's that. They're at Grandma's house for the night.
But I hope she doesn't watch this.
Grandma?
Calling her grandma.
Okay, Mimi.
She's going to get you.
They're at Mimi's house. Yeah, everybody.
Grandma makes you feel too old.
Does it?
You tell me.
Uh-huh.
You're
Well,
your grandma.
well, I'll send you a message. Let you know how I feel about the difference between the
Like
two.
in Stranger Things with the lights.
Yes.
We'll talk.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to haunt me anyway. We've had this discussion, so
Yeah.
I'll let you know when
That's
you're
the
haunting me. Look, it's Kitty. It's our
Not
kitty
many
cat.
people get to see her.
She's never been in a video.
She hides
was-
from everybody except
No,
for us.
she was here and we were in Houston.
Including our kids. They don't see her very often.
We didn't do any videos here. That's our first video here.
Oh, yeah.
Also, the reason this is on the wall is because we are prepping the house to sell. So
You're supposed to keep your head there.
right here, you mean?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next
later.
time.
Thanks, Anthony.
Bye.